10 candidates are seeking election in Lawndale's 24th Ward open seat race. Frank Bass, backed by the Chicago Teachers Union, has one of the stronger operations. He's the former Springfield lobbyist for the Cook County Board and has long ties to his community. I'm Mike Fouché, publisher of Aldertrack, and this is our Meet a Chicago Candidate series. So tell me, Frank, why do you want to be alderman?
I want to be alderman because I love my ward, and I remember the seniors, with people who are seniors now, who live in the ward, used to tell me what the ward looked like when they moved up from the South, how we had vibrant businesses, how crime was low, how you had all the conveniences that a neighborhood should have. And today, we don't have those conveniences. And I looked around and I decided that my strong background in public policy, along with my strong connections with the community, made me a viable candidate to run for alderman and to bring those things back that a lot of people miss. When you have places to go eat, places to go shop, you create jobs. And when you create those jobs, you have less crime and you have more of a community feel. Right now, we have a community feel, but nowhere to go to meet as a community. So there is no cafe to sit at to go talk about what happened at work, or there is no place to watch a Bulls game. You have to go out the neighborhood. I mean, there's one place, but every neighborhood should have multiple choices of where to go shop. Same thing with the grocery store. I think that's a crime that you have to go outside your ward to go to a Jewel's or well, not Dominic's anymore, but to a grocery store. Same thing with going to get roses or flowers or anything that other communities take for granted we don't have. And I feel that we earn those things as well. A lot of money leaves North Lawndale that could be spent in North Lawndale.
So do you consider yourself an Emmanuel or Fioretti or Garcia or Willie Wilson supporter?
That is where I'm torn. My dad was Chuy Garcia's precinct captain when Chuy was the alderman of the 22nd Ward. And my uncle is good friends with Willie Wilson. So I hear this conversation at church. I hear this conversation when I'm having dinner. Me personally, I like Chuy. I don't know a whole lot about Willie outside that he's a millionaire and that he has a great plan for the city as well, but I know Chuy Garcia.
So most sitting aldermen would say ward maintenance issues take up most of their time. But if you had one citywide issue, what would it be?
Education. Education is your key to everything. We have to have quality schools across this city. I don't think that it's fair that a kid in the 24th Ward, if they want to get a great, even not college, a grammar school education, that they have to leave outside that ward to get it. I believe that every public school should have fine arts, language classes, everything that Andrew Jackson would have. Every school should have that, because since we don't, that puts the kids behind, and it almost intensifies the fact that, okay, I'm behind coming from first to eighth grade. Now I end up at a high school that's not like your Lane Techs or your Whitney Youngs or your Walter Paytons. And then it takes you straight into college where we're at a disadvantage. The kids in my ward and kids in wards like mine are at a disadvantage because now you got to compete to go to a selective school when all that should be in every school.
So why is Lawndale, which has close proximity to downtown, great transit with the expressway and the train, and ready to build industrial space, why is it continually overlooked by development?
Quite honestly, my background being in public policy and government affairs, believe that relationships have to be created to get developers to come into the ward. And you have to have a person in the alderman seat that developers can work with and understand that aldermen can work with. And what we have in the 24th Ward for years have been aldermen that do not make that connection or don't even work those relationships. One of the reasons why I'm running is because I have relationships with other folks that's in government affairs, and I quite frankly asked them that same question. And some have said, well, because your aldermen haven't even asked. Or you all elect people with no background in public policy or in public service, and they get in, they don't know anybody, and it takes them years to figure it out. And by then, they're either run out of office or complacency has started. And I think it gets to a point where when you're used to not seeing a lot in your ward, you think because that's the way the ward should be or that's the way it is, just because they don't know. But I know it's because of relationships that our aldermen of the past have not tried to create with the developers, or they haven't tried to create developers from people who live in the ward to redevelop the ward from people who live in the ward.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can learn more about the Frank Bass campaign and 183 others by subscribing to our email newsletter at aldertrack.com, by listening to the series on Rivet Radio, or by subscribing to this series on YouTube. Thank you very much. More great stuff to come.